Go. Lechem Shalom, Rabbi Moshe. Nice to see all these dear friends. This is very, very sweet, very exciting. So we are speaking about loving God. And we spoke yesterday how the more that a person connects to God and understands, the deeper the relationship could be, and the more pleasure one will find in just learning more and more and more and more. And we relate to this also with a person when there's somebody that you see that's just so amazing, and you learn more about them, and you start focusing on their good traits, your natural love for them will grow. When a person focuses, let's say, on their wife, and they start focusing on all the good things that they do, and all their nice qualities, as opposed to all the negative things that they're all upset about. But they focus on all the good, and then they focus on more good and more good. Then they develop this love. That love is that I want to be close to you. I want to help you and serve you. I see just how great you are. So look where the Rambam takes us here. So the Rambam says, so when you focus on the goodness of God, and you focus on who God is, you learn about God, you'll come to love God. V'loshen Sifri, and in the language of the Sifri, which is Medrash Halacha, Lefi shenemar ve'ahavta es Hashem Elokecha. Remember we said, love God, that's the source in Shema. So the Sifri says, Eini yodeya keitzad oyev es hamokum. It says you should love God. But how? We're now in the biblical text. How do you do that? So what's the next line in the Torah? So after that, with all your heart, V'hayu advarim ha'ela asher anechi mitzavcha hayom al levavech. And it will be if you take these things referring to the Torah, and put the Torah onto your heart, meaning love God. So you start thinking, how do I do that? Just read the next line in the Torah. It tells you. And when you put these things, i.e. the Torah, and you take the Torah to heart, and you learn the Torah, you will become madly in love with God. Because you see just the wisdom. You see how deep Hashem is. How many people at one point in their learning have had this feeling of like, wow, the Torah is amazing. Right? Like, and then we'll just wait. Just wait. Literally. The more you learn, the more you'll just see how big. Now you might think, yeah, but then one day you'll get to be like, the Gadol Ador. Like Reb Chaim Kanievsky, Zatzal, there's something of Gershon, and your mamish the Gadol Ador. So there he's like, yeah, nothing surprises me. What do you think the people who learn Torah all day are thinking? I wish I had like another billion lifetimes, because they're just like, I'm just starting. You would have thought, like, once you learn Torah all day, like, I guess at the end of your life, you'll just go hang out in the Bahamas. Like, you deserve a break. You've been hanging out there, you learned, a good amount, you're set. You filled up the tank, and you're good to go. You think that's what Tzvi Meyer's doing? Once you learn that much, what do you want to do? You want to, you can't stop. At that point, it's like, once you learn that much, all you want to do is learn. But what do you think you also want to do? Okay, this is Mamish Rambam. Look what this said. Oh, who said that? Yeah. Okay, here we go. That as you learn more and more, this is so beautiful, you come to learn about the one who said, let there be a world. The more you learn the Torah of the one who created the world, I really want to show that video. It'd be so nice. Maybe we'll have to do it another time. Maybe we'll give a link to people. It's the video of the NASA telescope, the biggest picture they took. And they zoom in and out. It's very, very moving. It's very moving. Just how big God is. Whatever bigness you think you see in that, There's no way to get it on the projector?
You have a computer?
Yeah? Okay, maybe. So,
the computer in the back?
we'll see when we'll set it up next time. So, however big you think the universe is like not even a drop of water in all the oceans of the world of how big the Torah is. The Torah is infinite, and by learning the Torah, you learn about the one who created the world. So whatever the world is, the one who created the world is a lot bigger. And the world's pretty big. It's pretty big. The Torah is the address of finding that love. Now look at this. V'hine kvar baru lecha, ki b'staklus tis'amis lecha hasaga, v'yagia hatanug v'tova ya'ava behechreach. As you are going deeper into the Torah, and the Torah is settling into you, and you're becoming more integrated with it, and it sits with you, and you start thinking about it and walking around with it. And obviously this means the constant mitzvahs as well, thinking about the 6 constant mitzvahs, thinking about loving Hashem, thinking about what's called chochmas hayichud, thinking about the unity of God. You start just becoming like in love with God. And it will naturally come. It will naturally come. Because you become like enraptured with the wonders of God that you just want to run faster and faster to Hashem. Which means you want to just know more and learn more and more. Rav Shach, when he was, there was one time I think that they were describing, what Gehenna is. We don't talk about that too much, but the washing machine. So he said there was one time where he was in the Beis Medrash late at night, and he was holding in like a very difficult Rambam, Mamish, and he literally was like feeling like he was about to solve the riddle, like he was like literally in it. Remind me to tell you one more story with Chaim Brisker of just literally being so deep in the nuances of Torah. So Rav Shach was very, very deep into the nuances of a Rambam, and all of a sudden his candle went out. Oh! No! That was Gehenna. Like little, oh my goodness! I need it! Literally! Oh! At that level of, like, it can't be. The Torah is, that was the type of Reb Chaim Brisk. So, it's known that Reb Chaim Brisker would think about Hashem so deeply, and his brain was so deep, that he would go into very, very intense states of just meditation and learning. Like, everything about Reb Chaim Brisker was like very nuanced. Like, how does something work exactly? Like when you appoint somebody as an agent, is the authority that they have as an agent because you gave over authority to them, but they're their own person? They're just acting on your behalf? Or are they an actual extension of you? As if your hand is extending into their hand and you're there at the time that they fulfill that. And he would think very deeply about just how everything works. So there was one time they couldn't find him. Nobody knew where he was. And like everyone was looking like, where's Reb Chaim? They didn't know where he was. And they looked all, like the Rebbe, nobody knew. Like they were looking around the whole house, like, where's the Rav? And all of a sudden they like heard something by the kitchen. And they used to have like these bread, ovens, like big. They looked and they saw like something inside, and they opened up, and he was like curled like in the oven, like with the thing shut. And they looked, it's like, oh, because he had it to have absolute silence. He was so deep, like in the depths of a svara, like how it works, and he was like 1,000 steps down the rabbit hole of how it all works, and he just absolute silence. Now you should know, just another story about Rabbi Chaim. Rabbi Chaim Brisker, he made his home completely for the community. He was one of the biggest balei chesed that we know about ever. That some say that, that to call his home a Reshus HaRabim, like public domain, it wasn't even accurate, because even a public domain has like certain rules. His house, everybody, people, homeless people sleeping there, like just using his stuff all the time, and they would just be there. Like he just go home, he'd come into the house, and the person's like, "Who are you?" "Oh, my name's Chaim." They didn't know it was his house, because this guy had been there like a few weeks already. He already made himself like a balabais in the house. It was like, "Oh, it's my couch, my thing." Chaim, he lives. Chaim Brisker. Brisk. I highly recommend, if people want to see bigness of human beings. He's one of the examples. Well, all of the Torah sages that we describe always had that balance of bigness in learning and bigness in loving humanity. There was famously a story about Chaim Brisker. The more you learn Rambam, by the way, the more you start learning Reb Chaim, because everything about Reb Chaim is Rambam. It's all Rambam. So Reb Chaim, there's a famous story that it was a boy that Reb Chaim was on his way to yeshiva for davening, and there was a boy that he didn't have shoes. So Reb Chaim gave a lot of tzedakah also. Reb Chaim got him a new pair of shoes. So then the boy came the next day to Reb Chaim and he said, "But I don't know how to tie my shoes." So he showed him, but he had a hard time doing it. So every single day Reb Chaim would go to this boy's house, he would tie his shoes, and then he would come to davening in yeshiva. The greatest sage in the entire world made sure that this boy, not only he had shoes, but if he doesn't know how to tie them, I'll make sure that he knows how to tie his shoes. He would go and tie this boy's shoes every single day. Reb Chaim Brisk. Schus Yagen Aleinu, Reb Chaim Brisk. Okay? So look what it says here. Ikfar Amru Shemitzvah Zu Koilelis Gam Kain. Okay. Here's where the Rambam's about to just literally explode this idea of loving God. I feel like I need a preparation for this. Amen. So we already explained that this mitzvah of loving God naturally goes with a secondary part, which is really an extension of the mitzvah itself, which is Shenidrash v'nikra ha'anashim kulam la'avodosa yis'ale u'lahamin boy. Part of the mitzvah of loving God is the mitzvah of helping all of humanity also love God. Remember that. It's not just about my relationship to God. It means that all of humanity should have their own intimate relationship with the Creator of the world. There's only one God. God is one. Not one God in the category of gods, but there's other stuff. That's called softcore monotheism. Yidden were hardcore monotheists. What's a hardcore monotheist? Yeah, a Yid, that's right. Avram Avinu. Ein od mavad. There's nothing but God. We're all inside of God. There's nothing but God. This is all God. That's hardcore stuff. We're all inside of God's mind right now.
So is God big or small? We don't know.
Well, God is as big as it gets, but not big in distance. God is big in, we say, Hakel HaGodl, HaGibor ve'anoira. God is great. And you know what that greatness is referring to? That God gives. God is a Baal Chesed. We measure greatness not in muscles, but how much kindness you do. That's a great person, as he does for other people. So part of the mitzvah of loving God is that you want humanity to have that gift also, because we explained before that God is truth, and that if a person doesn't have that, then they're removing themselves from reality, like Back to the Future, Marty McFly. Remember those like scenes where he starts disappearing. The picture frames start disappearing. That's what it's like. A person who's engaged in falsehood, they're removing themselves from reality. Whereas when a person engages in mitzvahs and Torah, you're becoming more present for eternity. So you want to give that gift to everybody. And who was the one that did this first? Avram Avinu, this week's parsha. And he was Yikra b'Shem Hashem. Avram Avinu would go around and share God with the world. And how did he do it? He made an inn, and he opened his tent on 4 corners, 4 sides, and he said, anybody come? He made like a chassidish tish in there, a little verbrengen, some mashke, some nice things, some matzahs, good to zachen. And then you come in, some wagyu, you come in, and then at the end, you know what he told people? They said, we got to pay. So he said, don't thank me. Thank the one who made all this. And they said, the ultimate cook. And he would say, okay, you can bench. Thank the one who made all of this. Which means you see an amazing lesson the Kotzker Rebbe said, the power of benching. Benching can turn non-believers into believers. Which must mean benching has got something going on in there. So if benching can turn non-believers, the Kotzker Rebbe said, if benching can turn non-believers into believers, imagine what it could do to believers.
Did they bench back Amazon?
Yeah.
Moshe wrote the first.
So they had the nusach Moshe had, but the concept Avram Avinu had. The concept. Whether it was the exact nusach, probably not. But the concept Avram Avinu had, and he gave that to the travelers, and then he spoke about Hashem. He spoke, where do you think this whole world comes from? And he'd speak to people that way. It's a nefesh asher asu b'charon. And he started to bring people close to Hashem. Why? Because when you love Hashem, look what the Rebbe says. V'zeki she'te'ahev adam tosem libcha olav v'tishbachu v'tevakesh ha'anashim lehavosai. The Rambam says an amazing truth, which is when you love something so dearly, you want to share that with other people to also love. I'm sure nobody's ever seen such a thing, but when somebody ate an amazing hamburger, they take a picture, the phone eats first, and everybody's got the whole, you got to know about this hamburger. The whole world's got to know about it. So good. It's amazing. When you hear an amazing song, you want the whole world to know about that song, right?
Yeah.
Wow. It's beautiful. Or like a picture. It's amazing. Nowadays, that's literally what people are doing. What they're into, they're sharing with the whole world. So it's not like a person has to think too much about that. It just flows. Like, did you hear that amazing song? Did you see that amazing, beautiful thing? So beautiful. Did you meet that person? He was amazing. So that is what true love of Hashem will do to a person, is they'll just be motivated. Not like, I should think about being Makarev. It's just you're in love with Hashem and you want that gift, that pleasure to go to all of humanity. That's what we're talking about here. So one of the signs of gauging your love for Hashem is how much are you thinking about humanity? How much are you thinking that all of humanity should have that gift of having a loving relationship with Hashem and all the blessing that comes with? Or is it like, no, my thing, let people deal with it themselves? What kind of love for Hashem is that? You must not see how great Hashem is. Or like what, you're going to hog Hashem to yourself? Like it's like not enough to go around? I can't tell, I don't want anybody to find out about my spot. This is Hashem. If you really know Hashem and love Hashem, you want the whole world to know about Hashem. Mamish. V'zeh al tzad hamashal ken kisheta'ov ha'el ba'emes. And therefore, when you love God, kama shehigia lecha mehasogas hamitasai. Look at this. According to how much you really understand Hashem, why do you think the one who mamish loves humanity the most, Arashiva, he knows the most Torah. It must be someone who knows a lot about Hashem. That's why naturally, it's like, everyone was here Shalashudis, right? That was like a rally to, save humanity. Just go. And he brings famously from the Petuchei Chotam, from the Chasam Sofer, where the question is asked, which is, why wasn't, Chanoich, why weren't others who were great people, Misushelach, why weren't they the first Yidden? Why aren't we the people of Noach? Why aren't we the people of Shem, of Aver? Why aren't we the people of other greats that came before Avram? But in fact, we're the people of Avram. Why?
Avram loved Hashem.
So Avram loved Hashem, Avram Oyavi, he loved Hashem. Even though there were others that were greater than Avram. That there were others that were, so to speak, taken up to Shemayim. So says the Chasam Sofer, because there were other people in the course of humanity that their relationship to Hashem was me and Hashem. Was us. And they went and secluded themselves in mountaintops, and they spent their whole life just developing that relationship with Hashem. And in a certain way, Avram Avinu was not as great as them, because he could have spent more time just developing. But Hashem is telling you something, he was much greater. Because his relationship with Hashem was a deep relationship that led to going out and sharing and teaching and helping humanity, of outreach, reaching out to humanity in the world.
That's why he's the father of the Jews and not Noah.
That's right. That's why Avram Avinu, he's the father. Because he sees, and he also sees the greatness in every single person. He's davening for Sodom. He's davening for those wicked people in the world. Because he believes in humanity, believes in people. And he believes that every single person could turn their life around. Could you imagine that? His love for God is so great, and he understands Hashem so well, and he understands that every single human is made in the image of God, and every single person, no matter how bad decisions they made, it's never too late to change. And he's praying for literally the most wicked people in the world, that if you did, who are the opposite of him. Avram is the master of kindness, of love. What was Sodom notorious for? If you did kindness, you would be killed. And you know how they would kill people? If you invited someone into your home, said, "You want a cup of tea?" he has to be killed. It was very intense in Sodom. You were not allowed to do acts of kindness, and the death they would give to a person, they'd put them on a roof, and they'd cover them in honey, and bees would bite them to death.
Oh my goodness.
Sick. And Avram Avinu is praying for them. I hope that you could change your ways. Because I believe in humanity, and I believe that every single member of humanity has hope to have a relationship with Hashem. That's the power of Avram Avinu. We should be Zocher Aboisai to be the students of Avram Avinu, and Mamish bring all the Yidden home and all of humanity home. Amen. Kol Tov. Have a wonderful day, Rabbi Isai, and a good Shabbos.